Okay, here goes with my attempt at the 10 crafty questions tag. I was tagged by Wendy from Wendy's Journal Adventure, and I watched Sheila from Boho Daydreams do this morning, and she did it face to face, which really inspired me. I would never have thought in a million years that I would attempt to do this, but anyway, here I am. I'm just using an iPad, so I can't actually look at myself as such. If I do that, my eyes drift off and it looks really peculiar. So I'm just trying to look at the camera, and you'll have to excuse blinking, sideways glancing and all that sort of thing. Anyway, 10 crafty questions. What is my name is the first question, and Jackie Chimes is my name, my real name. It's actually Jacqueline, but I haven't really been called Jacqueline since junior school, so that's don't really want to tell you how many years ago that is, but probably 50-ish. Anyway, it is my name, and my YouTube name is the same. I think it's actually coded under Abby Jolie, which at the time I started my YouTube channel were the dogs we'd owned. One called Abby, one called Jolie. Sadly, neither of those are with us. I now have Molly, who a few of you may have seen. But anyway, the YouTube name can be found under my name, Jackie Chimes. What is your favourite craft is quite difficult in one sense, but what I've really focused on over the last 10 years, probably a bit more, is paper crafts in general. I started, like many people, with stamping, card making, mini albums like this one. Prior to that, I'd done a lot of sewing in the 80s. I'd done cross stitch in the 90s. I've always made things, actually, so papercraft is the one that's held my attention and had my love really for the longest time, and junk journals in particular really appeal to me. I love textiles, so I can mix in stitching and textiles. The other craft that I do, I suppose, is a little bit of textile art, so I sort of like mixed media and paper mixed with textiles and free machining, that sort of thing. But I don't do a lot of that at the moment because of time more than anything else. My favourite place to shop for craft supplies is anywhere really. We don't, in the UK, we don't have the Michaels and Joann's and those sort of places. We do have a big store called Hobbycraft, but it's quite expensive. And quite limited in the sort of things that I would choose to use in my journals. But I do shop there sometimes. But I like thrift shops. I like Amazon. I use a lot. I love eBay, Etsy, wherever I can get a bargain. In the early days, when I did start this craft, I said 10 years ago. I think the card making was probably more like 20 years ago. I did start buying from America. Then you could get very little in this country, and I loved magazines like Somerset Studio, Stampington stuff, all of that. So I used to buy those from America before they used to get you for customs. Anyway, the top 5 crafty YouTube channels is a really, really difficult one to answer. I think if you go back to Wendy's video, she reeled off such a lovely long list of people, and I would endorse all of those and more. One of my favourite crafty people is the same as Sheila's, is Joyce Kerrs. She doesn't produce a huge amount these days, but she's a brilliant, brilliant artist, and makes beautiful journals, and I'm very, very jealous, Sheila, that you've got 3 of hers. But never mind, I can still enjoy looking at them. I love Jibbid Neri. I like Carol Parker from Oak House Journals. I like Frizzy Lizzie Designs, and I like Kathleen Sundby. They're some of the newer ones. I learnt a lot in the early days by doing this craft, sort of these mini albums from Catherine Krieger from Catherine's Scraps and Laura Dennison. I can't just remember what her channel is called, but I'm going to link those two guys down there. They don't do many YouTube videos now, but if you scroll back about 8 or 9 years, I think you'll find stuff that you can relate to junk journaling. I particularly recommend Catherine's Sunshine paper bag album. I followed a lot of her stuff and it was great. My favourite colour is a sort of dusky pink, I think. I also like teal, turquoise, soft sagey greens. I call them sweet pea colours, so that kind of thing. My favourite craft tools, like Sheila, I would go, and Wendy to some extent, I would go scissors, sewing machine without a doubt. I love my tonic guillotine, which makes cutting paper quick and easy. I like my Big Shot, which you can see over my shoulder here. Those are probably the main ones. I wouldn't be out without scissors, sewing machine, guillotine, Big Shot, and crocodile. I wouldn't be out without a crocodile. Where do I get my crafting love from? Well, I've always made things right from a child. Over here in the UK we have, or we had, I think it's still going, we had a programme called Blue Peter. I'm probably showing my age when I say that some of my very early makes were toys from the Magic Roundabout. There was a Dougal dog out of a washing up liquid bottle and a Zebedee out of a cotton reel. I did all of those. I sewed a lot, as I said before, I sewed a lot in the 80s. I did a lot of cross stitch in the 90s, and then paper crafts ever since. I think with just going back to junk journals, the first junk journal I saw was a junk journal called Remains of the Day, which was a Mary Moss. Is it Mary Moss? Mary Ann Moss. Her channel is Dispatch from LA. She made something called a Remains of the Day journal, and she made a class. She produced a class. So this was the class. This was my first junk journal. It's card, just get it undone. It was card, fabric over card, similar to what we do today. I think I made this 10 or 11 years ago. Oh look, I graduated quite late in life, but I did graduate. That class I believe is still going and is fantastic, and I did actually use all junk mail, old calendars, bits and bobs for that journal. I'm going to put her link below as well so you can have a look at that. I owe a lot to her classes. I have taken a lot of classes over the years. I see this as constant learning, and that's why I love what people share. I try and share what I do and do a few tutorials and things like that. I'd love to do more of that as time goes on, I hope to. But if you do scroll down back through my timeline, you will find all sorts of old tutorials there. A bit more mini album orientated, but they're there. I've already said when I started crafting, I think it was probably about 8 really. Seriously, with the junk journals 10 years ago, I had quite a stressful job after I graduated, and before actually. in the social and healthcare service here in the UK, and that put a break on things for quite a while. So I came back properly to junk journals about 2 years ago, having retired from the stressful job, and now I work part-time in a GP surgery, which is a lot better, and gives me some time to do this, which I'd like to do all the time really, but we'll see. The last question I think was, where is your favourite place to craft? My printers chopped that off, but I think it was, where is my favourite place to craft? And it's this room that I'm sitting in now. It's about 10 by 12. My son left home a couple of years ago, and I have taken over his old bedroom, and I love it. And I'm very, very lucky to have it, and to have all of you here helping me and helping everybody else learn and enjoy this great craft of ours. Thank you, Wendy, for tagging me. As I say, please go back to Wendy's journal adventures, look at her 10 crafty questions, write down all those names that she reeled off, and have a look at all of them. They're all brilliant, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.